a good morning, or for you, good lunchtime. I have a lot of heads here. I'm as a representative of the German Accident Insurance, DGOV, and as president of ISA Construction, the World Organization for Health and Safety for the construction industry. So I'm a civil engineer, and I'm coming to India for more than 11 years now, and happy to see you all. Most of you I met before. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Irde Rajan. I am a professor at Center for Development Studies in Kerala. I work on migration basically over the last 2 decades. And currently I'm also advising the Kerala government on COVID-19.
Thank you. Now, let me introduce myself. I am B.N. Som. I am a retired secretary, was also Vice Chairman, Central Administrative Tribunal. I am the immediate past president.
Sir, I am Peter from Trivandrum, Kerala, General Secretary of National Fish Workers Forum.
I am Dr. M.K. Pradhan, the General Manager, Odisha State Disaster Management Authority, Bhubaneswar.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome everybody.
Yes, sir.
It is, welcome everybody. We are today going to discuss the problem, the most current problem of the country, that is condition of the migrant labor. Now, one aspect is distress that is being caused to the migrant workers all over the country. And secondly, we should discuss what are the solutions that you all think should be done. Huh? Did you say anything?
Som sir, we are hearing you. Please continue.
Yeah. The solution for ameliorating the problems that has been created. But here I want to say, underline only one point, that there are 2 types of migrant workers. Who are formally transferred from one state to other in a group of 5 or more, and the other, those who go on individual initiative. Today, we do not know.
Som sir, I am sorry, I am interrupting you. There is a lot of disturbance. Can we request all the participants to keep their mics on mute so that you can be heard by everybody clearly?
Yeah.
There is a lot of disturbance by the way.
Are you able to hear it?
The background noise should be stopped.
There is a lot of noise. We request all panelists and the participants to keep their mics mute.
As I was telling you, that one point that I am underlining is that 2 types of migration take place. One is the formal migration in a group of 5 or more, where they are registered with the local authority, and then the contractor takes them, and there is under the certain conditions. Then there is also migration on individual initiative. Now today, what the problem is, we do not know what is causing this disturbance. One is the migrants who have gone under a contract, and those who have gone on their own with individual initiative. Therefore, our solution should encompass both. And secondly, I would request all the panelists to discuss how far these interstate migrant Workers Act of 1979, including employment and working conditions of migrant workers, has been able to do or has not been complied with at all. So with these few words, I now leave the floor to you all to hear you all. Thank you.
I think Professor Neutel can start.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Sahu. We don't have the same problem like you have in India. Migrant workers is not a big issue for us, but we have also workers coming from different European states to our country. They are working with a contract. So this piece of migrant workers we have as well. And the experience we had with COVID-19 is, for example, in slaughterhouses, it happened last week, they detected a lot of people with COVID-19. All of them were coming from other member states, mostly from East Europe. And the problem we faced there was that these people, because of a very poor contract, were living together with 5 to 10 people in one room. So they were very close. The hygienic problem was there, only one shower, only one washroom for 10 people. So very, very close, less hygienic issues were available, and no personal protective equipment, or no mouth, nose mask. And the infection rate was getting up dramatically. So they closed a lot of slaughterhouses now. So maybe this is a good example for your problem in India, that we need very, very simple rules. And this is what we are forcing now also in Germany and in other member states of Europe, that we have to use washing, we have to keep distance, and we have to use mouth masks, so to protect the others. So these simple 3 rules, if you follow those, we realize then infection rate is going down quickly. So this is a simple example which could be used maybe for your one part of migrant workers with a contract. The other ones we don't have, but I think all over the world the rules are the same. The infection process is similar. So if we follow these 3 simple rules: distance, 1.5 to 2 meter, washing, hand washing, disinfection, and masks to protect if you have to work very close to them. This is my statement. I can give you a lot of other examples, and maybe I have one rule for construction workers. I like it very much. It's from Cyprus. It is in English. If you like, I can give it to you by email. These are 7 rules, 8 rules, how to protect people, how to get infection rate down. So that's an idea, and if you like, I can send it to Mr. Sahu. He can distribute it. It's in English, so maybe a good example. Thank you very much.
Professor Neutel, can you? I would request Somsab to ask Professor Neutel if about construction workers, migrants, any problem from the perspective, he can give us some guidelines.
The guideline for protecting construction workers is, for example, this paper with the 8 rules how to protect. But the problem we face in Europe is that washing on construction sites, on big construction sites, it's not a problem. But on small and medium-sized construction sites, we have the problem that not enough washing facilities are available. So we are pushing now via the inspectors. So enforcement is getting quite hard now that we can manage. Washing is very important, washing the hands.
Thank you.
If you like, I can send you this paper.
Oh, please.
Somsab, whether Mr. Yudiam has joined?
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Yudiam.
Yeah.
from Center of Development Studies.
Yeah.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So let me, let me make maybe 3 to 4 minutes what I think we should do or what we have done. See, if you talk about India, internal migration is a very huge topic and it's a very huge crisis now we are talking about. And I think if you talk about the migrants itself, we are talking about almost 500 million people in this country are internal migrants who are living in a place they are not born. But if you talk about workers, we are talking something between 100 to 150 million. Kerala itself has 3 million people we are talking about. So that you can imagine we are talking like a big number. But the problem is this COVID-19 has brought them to the limelight, partly because when you put the lockdown, we are asking them to be the place where they are right now. And the migrants cannot make any money unless they move, because most of the migrants cannot work at home. So many of them lost their jobs, many of them lost their wages, many of them, I don't know, some of the construction companies, even in Kerala, they said they were not allowed them to stay in the worker site, they were asked to leave. And Kerala government was feeding close to 5 lakh people in the common kitchen, they are feeding them. And I was asking them where were they, because they were pre-COVID, they are not with the government. They are working to different employer. So how the employers handle their workers during the COVID period? I think COVID is still continuing. We have to wait for some time. But I think immediately we have to do few things, because currently the PM has announced a program for migrants. But we have to think seriously now that many of them want to go back to their place, maybe for shorter period. So I think we should allow them to go, because they all came on their own willingness to different state to work. Now we are holding them. There is no train, there is no bus, they cannot move. So I think we should start talking about them. They, we should help them to move to their place. Maybe for short period, they may come back. But now we are not doing that. I think this is something, and we saw people are walking for longer period, cycling on the way, they are dying, some of them. I think this is a very serious issue. We should talk to people to see that we are providing them at least some mobility. If they want to go, I think we should provide them. We are seeing long queues. The second thing is that some of them lost jobs. We are feeding them. We are giving them, many government is ready to come and tell them we'll give you train tickets to go back. But I think all the migrants in India, either whatever migrants, they should be given what I call them a cash transfer. We have to provide them some money, because if you remember that the migration history, if you read, never in the history of any migrant, they go to their place in empty hands. Empty hands. This is the first time they are not only going by empty hands, they are begging for going to their place, asking for a free train ticket. They never asked a free train ticket. So they are going with the empty hands. So we should give them something in their hands, mostly the hard currencies. Then only the economy in the rural will improve. Otherwise, we are going into the very deep, what is called the rural crisis. Then one more point I will talk, then I will stop here. Second thing is that they are also going today with what is called the suspicion of carrying the COVID-19. Many states, they are not interested, you should come. If you say, I am coming from Mumbai, they said, please don't come from Mumbai. Please come from Delhi. So I think there is a stigma today affiliated to the migrants. I think we should help them out. I think they are the lifeline of many economies. They are the lifeline of the cities. I can't imagine any city in India, either Mumbai or Delhi, without migrants. I'll stop here. Maybe let us look for some more discussion and comment, and I'll come back to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
For inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yudham. You please stay for some time, because we will take also question answer.
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock.
Mr. Som Saab, I think Mr. R.C. Khuntia is there joining.
Okay.
Mr. R.C. Khuntia, our former member of parliament.
Yeah. Let us hear you.
Whether we have Subhash Bhatnagar.
Yes, Bhatnagar come. Mr. Bhatnagar, has he joined?
Mr. Subhash Bhatnagar.
Please join.
I'm here. I'm keeping my microphone off.
Now, Mr. Kundia.
You have to work hard to expand your base. Right? In metro, you have to expand outward towards rural area. Also, have to depend upon retail. Those companies, caution for them. Those companies were only working for project side. And they were some for retail also. Those people who think that only retail will work, but they have
I think Mr. Subhas joined, sir. Why is
Let
Mr.
him
Subhas?
talk. Let him talk.
Yes, please, welcome.
Welcome.
Here the great Subhas Bhatnagar.
I'm there.
Please.
Am I? Yeah, I'm there. But I'm hearing others first.
Please.
You want me to talk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the only thing I want to say is that there are large number of migrant workers, and among them there is a substantial proportion of the workers who are there as migrant workers in various states. Construction workers are the only migrant.
Hello. Mr. Subhas. Hello. Dibakar Babu, kindly find out why it is switched off. Subhas Bhatnagar.
Yeah, I think he has disconnected from meeting.
Then.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Saying was construction worker is the only group for which there is a central law under which every state has a tripartite board, under which every state has a number of construction workers. Although the proportion of migrant workers being registered is less, because there is no national level registration, every registration is a level registration. But this is a system which could have given total full support to the construction workers who were migrants to go back to their places. But nobody ever thought of, and nobody asked the BOCW board to support the travel expenses of the construction workers, which would have been a great thing. Perhaps nobody has vision how to use the BOCW board in the present crisis. So
Yeah.
it is a missed opportunity.
Absolute.
It's a missed opportunity.
This is the first time I think many of us knowing about BOCW Act and rules.
But I want to one interruption. Subhas Bhatnagar, this as I got the information that every state has issued some immediate relief to the construction workers to BSW board.
Yes, 1,000 rupees to 10,000 rupees. It has been done by 20 states to all the registered workers. But states like Delhi have given only to those who have current renewal for the current year, not for those who did not have renewal for the current year, which was a very bad thing to do, because the money is meant for all who are registered, who are not registered, and only 35% workers are registered, 65% are not registered, and they are the major migrant workers on construction site. They are not registered because there is no national level registration. Every state is confining its registration to that state only. Although Supreme Court said in its interim orders that there should be nationwide registration renewable in every state. I think we can get this as a lesson out of this crisis, that we must, after post-crisis situation, we must ensure 100% registration. We must ensure that not a single worker is there who is not registered and working on any construction site. And then all are covered in the social security. And in future, we are able to utilize some money, keep reserve some money with the board for such crisis situation support also.
Thank you. I think we should go to our speaker. Are you waiting, Mr. R.C. Khuntia? He is the president of the INTOC. He is waiting. Mr. R.C. Khuntia. Khuntia, sir.
He is not on this.
Acha, then I am finding Mr. Ramesh Kumar. Ramesh Kumar. He is the president of the Drivers Dunia. Mr. Ramesh. Hello. Otherwise, Ramesh. Mr. Partha Mitra. Mr. Partha Babu. Mr. Partha Mitra is here.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Mr. Partha Mitra,
Okay.
welcome.
Okay. So I think I've been hearing the discussion. Professor Norkel, Professor Rajan, I think they have brought up very valid points. I would only like to make one submission for the consideration of this gathering, that the Interstate Migrant Workers Act of 1979 has sufficient provisions, and somehow the enforcement of this act has been very weak. Had this act been enforced properly, particularly sections 13 to 17, the migrant workers would not have been left to the plight which they find themselves today. So I think, as Professor Rajan has rightly said, we need to give them cash, need to give them food, but in future we have to ensure that the rights which flow from the Interstate Migrant Workmen's Act 1979 flows to these workers, and they are not left high and dry in future. So better enforcement, better registration, and linking the migrant workers to all the other schemes, social welfare schemes, particularly the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act of 2008, will have to be strengthened.
Mr. Partha, anything else you want to add?
Yes.
If you don't have to add, I will request Mr. Dr. Malay Pradhan is here. He's from the Dr. Malay Pradhan is here. Kindly speak. He is from Odisha Disaster Management, Odisha government. Please. Dr. Malay.
You see, there are a lot of initiations have been taken by government of India, and which was only yesterday it was given forward. Number one is during the crisis period of COVID-19 pandemic. Now there is a generation of works of around 14.62 crores working days till 13th of May, and the worth is around 10,000 crores, and around 2.33 million wage seekers, they have been provided work. Hello?
We are hearing.
Hearing, very good. Now, there are a lot of initiations that Government of India has already initiated, that is to drive to enroll the return migrants, setting up shelters for migrants and free food for 2 months, mandatory ESI coverage and benefit extension to establishment having even less than 10 employees, then universalization of minimum wages to workers. Now it is only 30% that they want to increase. Then now the new concept has come that the appointment letter to all workers must be given. Then annual health checkup of all workers will be done. Now the very important that I am looking after, that is the occupational safety and health. These code will also be equally applicable to the migrant workers. Coming to all the things, what I want to say is, now few other steps like one nation, one ration card, 100% national portability by March 2021, fair price shops for PDS rations, and affordable rental housing complexes. These are required to be done. Now my point of interest here is, if we look into the global history, now with a population of 800 crores in the world, around 200 crores are informal workers. And the ratio is only 61%, means out of the total workers in the world, 61% are informal. Whereas coming to India, the percentage is 88 to 90%. So once the worker become informal, definitely there is chance of migration. And coming to the migrant workers, around 27.2 crores people in the world, they are migrant. Whereas coming to India, it is 1.75 to 2 crores. which are for the international migrants, and for internal migrants, it is around 13.9 migrations. Now, there are a lot of causes definitely what to do. What I am thinking is, whatever may be pandemic or any other situations, now government is definitely doing a lot of work, but a systematic approach which I actually propose is, and which is what most of the things are also being done. I am just declaring very simple things. It is required to identify the migration prone rural areas. Once the areas are identified, then the socio-economic study must be done on that migration prone areas. Then number 3 is that it is required to identify opportunities for alternative income generation to provide year-long employment opportunities. Next is, we have to, once everything is identified, the steps should be taken to promote self-employment schemes and to increase agro-based industries. Now, that is one part where we can see that the destitute migrants, they will not go to the other states or other countries. Now, what is one more thing here is, suppose a migrant worker leaves from one state and goes to the other host state, what happens? He gets a earning of around
Somewhere a voice is not coming.
1.5 to 3.
Now it's coming.
And all these workers are coming. If we can increase, if the skill development program can be done, definitely their income will be more. Now, all these unskilled, non-skilled people, they are engaged in construction sectors. In India, around 5.1 crores. They work in construction sectors, in brick kilns, in textile industry. Now, what is more important is, we have to create a migration support center. That migration support center will provide information and services, helping them to settle in a new geographical location. It will give pre-migration preparatory support, like counseling, training, exposure, visit, etc. Post-placement counseling, providing identity validation and verification services, registering migrant workers and undertaking periodic counseling, follow-up post-placement tracking, job retention and career progressive counseling, provide inter-department and inter-institutional liaison support, help in linkage with government-sponsored welfare schemes, providing support to workers in case of exigency and work, emergency deportation service center, etc., and providing migration workers a source with the helpline numbers. So, in total, if these things are taken up, definitely, slowly and slowly, the informal workers ratio will come down, and which will be definitely for the right direction for the progress of a nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I request Mr. Ramesh is here. Ramesh, he is the chairman, founder of the Drivers Dunia. Whether he can join?
Yeah.
Mr. Ramesh Kumar. Hello. Can we take some questions for, because I think Professor Neutel wanted to leave. If any question is there from the participants, can you please ask, because Mr. R.C. Khuntia is joining another 2 minutes time.
Yes, sir. I am Ravikant Somani. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I'm just wondering about a recent decision which some of the state governments has given to the workers, that they can work for 12 hours in a shift. So my question is whether 12 hours shift decision is the right decision, and I would like to take comments from the panelists, with reference to the tiredness and inattentiveness and lack of sleeplessness, which the workers can do a mistake and he can indulge into an accident. So whether this decision is okay, I think 3 state governments have given the permission to employers that they can allow their workers to do for 12-hour shifts. And imagine if a reliever of that worker is not turned up, the worker has to do the 24-hour shift. Whether it's not a very serious matter which we all should address in this forum?
Yeah. Certainly. It is very serious issue.
Anybody who can give answer to this question, and whether this forum can influence the governments to review this kind of decisions which they are doing in hurry in the name of, bringing the economy in line and on the track.
I will request Mr. Irudiam and Partha Mitra to react to this question. My request to Mr. Partha Mitra and Mr. Irudiam.
No, I can just
Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So Mr. Somani has raised a very valid point. I think the labor laws do not certainly permit 12 hours of work. I think under very difficult circumstances, the government has kind of passed these ordinances, but it remains to be seen whether the ordinances see the light of the day. I'm told that they still have to be cleared by the central government. But under the circumstances, certainly it is a stressful decision, and it's both for the workers and the employers. So I would not certainly advise any relaxation of this 8-hour norm, and the Factories Act have to be followed by all means. This is my limited submission.
Mr. Irudiam.
I also think that because we should also remember the migrants' health. I think health is very important because, I was talking to somebody, the migrants die earlier than the non-migrants because of their health things, because we have no studies on that. We should look at it. So I think we should, definitely, protest and should write to the government that 8-hour duty is enough. I don't think we should give them overtime and overcharge because they may die earlier than normal people in their own state. So we should not allow them to move to 12 hours.
My one on this, I just now, Mr. This Brijesh Upadhyay from BMS, he just informed me that he wanted to join. He could not join because today BMS is opposing this long hours of work. This is the news I received. And secondly, one thing what Mr. Irudiam was stating about Kerala experience, my view is this will be standing in contradiction to the requirement. When migrant workers should return, they want jobs. If the working hours more, it will be a contradiction to the job provision. So I think, and I am told today UP government, if it is an unconfirmed report, but I came to know just now that the UP government is having a rethinking on this ordinance by today evening. So this is what the report I got. And as Mr. Somani said, we are trying to this panel. I will request Mr. Partha, Mr. Partha Mitra to compile this today, because ultimate our objective is to this panelist to send us. We'll be sending a SOP to the Government of India recommendation. So,
hey.
Excellent, Mr. BK.
Can I please react to this?
Just one clarification, if I may intervene. I have been facing some technical issues, so I wasn't fully listening to the discussion, but I can capture the broad theme and send it to you so that you could edit and send it forward to the ministry.
One point I would like to make.
Sir.
I have been following this question of new ordinance issued by some state government. Then yesterday, when the central government, the finance minister announced some of the second tranche of relief measures, I could make out that those ordinances, some portions will definitely not be there, because if they have said ESIC and PF to not to be there for 3 years. If that is so, then how the finance minister can say that ESIC should be in all districts? It should cover all workers, formal and informal. So there is built-in contradiction, and I think this has been done in a hurry, and that will be definitely rectified. But saying that, I would also request that from this forum, we should definitely include in our recommendation that these features of the ordinance should be reviewed for better implementation of the labor laws. Because labor laws as they are today, the problems of labor is created because of non-compliance. Non-compliance by the state, non-compliance by the establishing non-compliance by the employer. So this really it is the time for us to think over that the legislation is one thing, but its implementation is another thing. Secondly, what we have built up over the years and ILO has the sanction, we should not go beyond that. And that is the thing I think everyone should keep in mind. And certain things should not give unnecessary jerk into us, because I think condition of service is something which is vital and cannot be tampered with by an ordinance by a state.
Somsa, Mr. NP Swami, the Vice President of the Union from our Bangalore is here. He wants to join. NP Swami?
Yeah.
Namaste, sir. Namaste. I am there.
Namaste.
I am listening from the beginning. I am there.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
May I add one point, sir?
Sir, please. Sir.
Actually, I am Dr. Shahu from London University. Actually, extended working hours increase the chances of accident, because their workers, other thing will be jeopardized, and definitely chances of safety aspect will be definitely hampered. That is one more point that can be added.
Dr. Subhasis Sahu from Kalyan University. Yes.
Sir, I will take only 1 minute. Thank you very much, Somsa and Mr. B.K. Sahu, for giving the ray of hopes that you said that UP government is also rethinking on the decision. And you are saying that this forum is also going to draft a guideline to central government. Probably this issue will be.
No voice, no audio.
Yes. Now you, NP Swami, please. Man, we'll sum up the things after NP Swami. Mr. Ramchandra Khuntia is waiting. Mr. Swami. Mr. Ramchandra, please, Swami.
Swami. Please.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We are hearing.
So we are not able to hear. No audio at all.
Yes. Swami. Hello.
Some problem.
Okay. Mr. Ramchandra Khuntia has joined.
Yeah.
Khuntia sir. Anybody else to join? Who wants to?
Hello.
Yes, please. NP.
Hello.
Yes, you are hearing you.
Sir, it's not audible, sir.
We are hearing you.
So I just want to make a statement. Hello.
Yes, we are hearing you.
Yeah, great injustice has been done to the migrant workers. Even though migrant workers are large in number, they were not visible at all. They were working in all kinds of construction sites, larger, smaller, medium, but they were not visible at all. First time we are able to understand the volume of the migrant workers, their issues. And I will put it on record that state has not taken any steps to do any justice to them, even in terms of arranging transportation to them. Apart from not following any kind of legislations which are there, to protect their interests, and I'm sorry to say, in our own state, they are not paid wages, even though for the first time in the history of labor movement, the labor department has taken initiative involving all the trade unions in terms of supplying food packets to these people and also supplying dry rations. But most unfortunate thing is that identifying them identifying their addresses was so difficult because they are not registered.
MP, can we just sum up your what you want to bring out? Because we are thinking of bringing out recommending a SOP. Anything you want to highlight in that SOP?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, number one, all the workers should be registered. It is also the responsibility of the builders.
Yes.
We have in Karnataka, we are given the responsibility to builders and authority and the power to register them, register the workers working in their own site. But it was not done. No, all the workers should be registered. One. Secondly, they should be paid well. They should be paid well with all the amenities. They should not be, even today, now not all the workers have gone. Still there are workers working in these sites in spite of all the problems. They should be provided with food, shelter and wages. Wages has to be paid, sir. Please, wages has to be paid.
I think Mr. Subhash Bhatnagar wants to speak something. Subhash?
Yes, see, I would like to say regarding this 12-hour thing, that it is going to increase exertion and it is going to cause accidents on construction sites, and it is going to be a very dangerous thing, risky for construction sites. Therefore, it should be strongly opposed.
Sir, our SOP
on this 12-hour.
Sir, in our SOP will include, my request is again that Mr. Partha Mitra, who is listening, he is a good writer and doing, along with Som Saab, I request them to prepare a SOP which will, I am telling you from Indo-German focal point, we are meeting at some place after this, prepare a SOP and give it to the government of India. I have already yesterday talked to the ministry, but somehow somebody has not joined us. Even the BMS fellow did not join us. We'll take forward this. Only thing I wanted, Professor Neutel, anything to respond? Because he wanted to leave.
Hello.
We would also like to add on SOP about the BOCW implementation.
Yes, yes. Well, see, I'll just read out what we are thinking of. This Som Saab will be ultimately giving a final here. Our intention of today's panel discussion is that we are going to have a next webinar of 500 participants. We are thinking ultimately we want that a SOP which will not 4 or 5 things which have come up. One important thing is registration, database. But now everybody is thinking there is no data. Achha, now Mr. Ramchandra Khuntia sir has joined. So we'll request Ramchandra Khuntia sir to kindly put a word. Welcome to you, sir, our former MP and the National Vice President of the INTOC. Kindly join, sir. Kindly speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Greetings to all the participants and Som Saab and Saud Saab, Bhatnagar and actually, it was some technical problem. I could not join earlier. But I was waiting till from 12:30. Anyhow, so now, first of all, I must thank you, Som Saab, and for coordinating this program, and VN Sauji for arranging this program and discussion, which is also the hot topic nowadays because of this migrant labor issue. And in COVID-19, the most affected persons are migrant workers. Not only migrant workers, we can say the migrants, because as per the state data, as we are sometimes telling that the migrant could be around 4.14 crores interested migrant labor, but virtually, apart from this unskilled, unorganized migrant labor, if you take the migrant as a whole in the country, which are also suffering, that would be more than 45.57 crores as per the, because the students and workers and all other fellows who are moving. But shortly, I think there is not much more time. What we can say, the migrant labor issue, although they are contributing much more for the GDP of this country, for the development of the states and the nation as a whole,
yes, sir.
The successive government also has not given much importance to develop the data for their social security, for their wage earning or employment stabilization. Only we have a small piece of law that is interested migrant labor 79, and it has so many loopholes that it is not never implemented even from the date of its legislation. And although, as I know, I was a part of that also in Parliament, also there was a move for the amendment of Interstate Migrant Labor Act 1979 and then 83, this Immigration Act. But even if there was a recommendation, no government could introduce it for the amendment to make it more effective. Now, in this situation is the migrant labor, they have mainly three issues, because those who manage to somehow reach home, they may not want to return to the cities or the states they were to their working place in this situation. Those who were stopped on the way and sent to temporary shelters, many people also coming by walking. Some people, around more than 100 people died in accidents. Some people are coming from Surat to Odisha also. Around 5% died in accident in Guna, in Uttar Pradesh, Muzaffarpur, in Bihar, and many places also workers are dying. And those who are neither home nor shelters, they are standard sleeping in public place and living in difficult condition in the town at the city. What I say, when we discuss, we must have a short-term recommendation, could be a medium-term recommendation, and what could be the long-term recommendation for the migrant labor of this country. And this is the high time that government, all political parties, trade unions, everybody also convinced that something should be done for the migrant labor. Now, as I was listening to the discussion, because the most important and unfortunate thing is there is no data. No state, sending states can state how many workers from their state have gone to which state. No state also where receiving country, they don't have, the receiving states also do not have any data. So now, say in case of Telangana, they said at the beginning 3.5 migrant workers, then they said 7.5, now they are telling more than 10 lakhs. In Orissa now they have also come to more than 10 lakhs, but it will be much more. So I think these things, the major things also for the short term, as to bring them back to their own states and give them foods, shelters. But the major things also, recommendation could be the government, that what this migrant labor after the quarantine period and after this say 2 months, 3 months, whether they will go back to their respective place where they are working. If they are not going, what they will do in their own state, where from they get the job. Now, in view of this proposed labor amendment in some states, which is very much serious thing like UP, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and also in some states like Odisha, Punjab, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan, they have increased the working hour. Whether increasing the working hour or liberalizing labor law is killing the employment. So the migrant labor who was coming back to their own states, instead of getting job, they will not have. They will have a situation. They have to go back. Then they have to go back. Where they will go back? And in some states also, the states cannot run without migrant labor, like Punjab, like Himachal, like Jammu Kashmir, even like some places cannot also do without the migrant labor. So now the major things after the short-term things, what food, shelter, and also governments make their arrangement to go back to their house. The government has declared now 5 kg rice and something. I think that is nothing. They already unemployed for 3 months. They will be unemployed for another 3 months. So whatever some proposal came also, we are expecting, and the government should reconsider to give a financial package of minimum 10,000 to all migrant laborers who have come back, because they will be around 6 months without employment. So then another thing is also we have to, as you have said, for developing the data, could be one coordination committee in all state, in all district, or even in block also, where the labor department, employers or the NGOs and unions could be a part of that, so that the database can be developed. How many migrant laborers are going and how many migrants are coming. So developing data on migrant labor is very much important. And I think everybody has to give a serious thought on this. Because another two more points I want to mention here.
Sir, kindly be short, sir. Sir, kindly be little short, 2 minutes.
Okay. So I think there could be a recommendation for replacement of Interstate Migrant Workers Act 1979 and draft code, and also accordingly that could be included in draft code of Social Security Act in 2019 to make it a strong legislation. So then the implementation of universal basic income scheme.
Yes, sir.
Basic income scheme, such as the Naitam Ayo Yojana proposed by some of the important political parties and also some economists also, then to form an interstate cooperation council as a permanent mechanism for effective cooperation among the state of receiving states and sending states, the probable social protection which could be given through some particular scheme, collaborate with the startup and to create a portal for migrant workers to allow matchmaking between. So these are some.
Sir, can you give your this recommendation so that, because sir, ultimately Mr. Irudium wants to intervene in your talk. Before that, I just want to inform all the panelists and the participants that Mr. Partha Mitra sent a proposal. We are just working out Indo-German focal point. You know, the migrants have come back. They are in the quarantine center. We have prepared what is his idea. I just now talked yesterday to Ganjam collector. There is where the maximum migrants have come from Surat. So there is a program called Transition Training Program. We have prepared a video which consists of taking care of their rules, health-wise, stress management, and how, suppose they go back, either they go back to their jobs, and if they want self-employment, a small video, we'll start giving it to Monday to all the quarantine centers.
That is okay. I have also prepared a documents on this short-term, medium-term, long-term. I can send you it also to discuss it in further or to include in your program.
Sir, Mr. Irudium wants to talk to you. Mr. Irudium. Mr. Irudium wants to intervene in your talk, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, because I just wanted to make one important point. Basically that migrants have, many states cannot live without migrants. I think COVID-19 most affected people are migrants. I think we should put it very, very clearly. They are the most affected. I don't think any other people are affected much more than migrants. I think they are the #1 victim of COVID-19. So I think what they are asking now, you talk to any migrant, they want to go back home. I think, are we not able to give them, they want to go home.
They are going home. They are going home.
You see, I do agree.
We should give them an
opportunity. These opportunities have already been given.
Probably it may take another 2 months to go back home. It may require more time.
Point is, let me complete that.
Kindly listen.
We should give them the choice to go home. Let them, they want to come back, let them come. Second is, you don't send them just home. You should provide them, as I said earlier, hard currency. Today, if you are telling all migrants in the country can get, say, 3 months salary, something like every month 10,000 rupees, 3 months, you are going to also get the good database on them. If you say that you register, you are going to get money because you are migrants. You are going to get the data. I think it's the right time to put some money on them. Don't give them that we give you this, we'll give you housing. These are all future. Immediately they need something hard cash in the guns. It should be the short-term one.
That is what everybody is telling. Mr. Rajan, I think 2-3 things we all have agreed. One is database. Second is immediate relief. And third very important thing which you have said, I think what Kuntia Sahib said about short term, medium term, long term, all these things, my request, before I say Som Sahib to sum up the thing, three things, I request Mr. Partha Babu, along with Som Sahib, to prepare whatever they have listened. They supposed to be a SOP so that we can give it to the government of India. Som Sahib.
Yeah. You see, at the end, I will say only one thing. That as Dr. Rajan was telling, that they should be allowed to go. Now, 358 trains which the railways are running is running only for Shramik. Is this not taking them back? So, we must be clear in our mind what we are really asking for. Number two, the problem of giving money is that are you registered as a migrant? If you are not registered, everybody will say I am migrant. Then how do you manage the thing? So I think we shall have to see the logistic and the applicability of our resources also to an optimum level. Having said that, what I would say is, in reply to Mr. Kuntia, what he said, that Act of 1979 should be abolished. No. The Act of 1979 is, as Mr. Mitra has said, had the chapter 4 and chapter 4 and chapter 5 of that act.
Chapter 7.
If those were
5.
If those were adhered to, implemented by every state, the state by state I mean the labor department, every labor department, if they were little conscious, this act, I would say, is such holistic that we don't have to face today's situation. Be that as it may, what has happened has happened. So, number one, we have to see that implementation of section 4, chapter 4 and 5 of the Act of 1979 is implemented. Number two, and very important, under this act, every state has to appoint in the labor department inspector who will ensure that the workers who migrate from one state to another are given the facilities, and for which he shall periodically visit the host state also, not only to see that the facilities which they as enshrined in the act are implemented. So this is what we have to do. If this act was implemented properly, then we wouldn't have to cry as we are crying today. More than that, as I told you, we shall have to look after another thing. Those who go to migrate in search of job, there is not in a group of 5 or 10, but less than that. Now, what will happen to them? Now, there is no data available in any state about migration of this number of people. Say from Jharkhand. In Jharkhand, any number of workers go out to Delhi, to Haryana, to other places in search of work.
Sir, we have to conclude, sir, because it's 2 o'clock.
I'll conclude.
Sir, I'll give a thanks. I give a thanks to everybody before you conclude.
No. I know that.
Okay.
Give me my time and
Yes.
I will do that. And I don't want to finish it as a half finish.
Sir.
Then, you see, therefore, now what is to be done? What is to be done is a Aadhaar-based platform. Aadhaar-based platform is to be introduced for each and every migrant worker, which means, what is this platform? This platform will include the name, the particulars of employment, and his telephone number. As a result, anytime, anywhere, any migrant worker can be contacted and instruction given. If this is one suggestion of introducing digitization for the improvement of the lot of the migrant, both organized as well as unorganized migrant. That will mean those who go under a license of a contractor. Now, contractor's liability has also to be spelled out, because today we find that the contractors are to be found nowhere. Once they have exported the people, they are off from there. It should not be there. But once you have given these Aadhaar-based platform, then everybody, and it will be easy for government to control. Thank you very much.
Sir, I have the privilege to give a thanks on behalf of the Indo-German Focal Point, supported by our German Social Accident Insurance from Germany, our partners both, and the labor departments of the states and the Union Labor Secretary also from their department, all our panelists, particularly the anchor, Somsap, who has so nicely taken up, and panelist, Mr. Irudium, who took the trouble and be with us, our Dr. Ramchandra Khuntia Sahab, our ex-MP and INTOC from INTOC. We had also Mr. Subhas Bhatnagar from our National this Council of the Migrant Workers. We had NP Swami, we had Dr. Malay Pradhan, we had also Ravi Somani was also from the employer side, we were there. And most importantly, Mr. Partha Mitra he is the former senior economic advisor to the Ministry of Labor. So this teamwork, 2-3 things before I conclude. This is not just a question of we are having a webinar. We are definitely, I have already requested Mitra sir, he is very much active with us. My request is kindly send your SOP. We are going to have a kind of a interaction with the Ministry of Labor. We will have an interaction. And for information, I want to give information that we are going to hold once the lockdown is over. Actually, we wanted to hold it in the month of April. We could not do it. We are going to have a national migrant workers at Bhubaneswar with reference to Odisha Construction Board. But it was shifted, so I request, I hope that our panelists also join. And before I conclude, because now the social distancing is there, I was informed by my German partner, we have a small newsletter. So we are releasing this newsletter. Releasing this newsletter through our panelists, all participants. This is the 7th issue of the newsletter. It will be sent to everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all our panelists. Thank you, participants. Thank you, my team.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Swami sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sadhu sir.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, Partha Babu.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all, everybody. All the best.
Thank you,
All
sir.
migrants, actually.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.